Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Art Alliance for Contemporary Glass Fired Up program. We do this on the first Friday of each month. It's free and open to the public, and it's our chance to connect with the community and share all of the exciting things going on in the world of glass. If you are not familiar with the Art Alliance, please visit the chat where you can see our website, aacgglass.org, and you can learn more about our organization. We're a nonprofit that supports the community through grants, scholarships, programming, and other events. And we are made up of really a melting pot of collectors, artists, gallerists, curators, anyone that really has an interest in learning about glass. So please do go ahead and check out that website when you get a chance. And now I'd like to introduce our artist today, Stephanie Trenchard, an amazing artist who creates narrative work stemming from centered around women. And she's going to talk a little bit more about that and her process in the program today. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for being with us, and I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Let me go up to the share my screen. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, it's taking me 1 second to get it going. Well, hello, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. Sorry, let me get my. All right, here we go. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, thank you for your patience, everybody. It takes me a minute to get going on the technology. It's really fun to see all these familiar faces here. Mary Cummins, I hope you feel better. That sounds rough. And Diane Coleman, thank you for coming. That's really exciting to see you here. And many other people, a lot of people I've known for a long time in the glass world. This is our image of our studio. We have had this building in Sturgeon Bay since 1921 or 2021. No, 2001. Excuse me. A little bit flustered getting started, but I share the studio with my husband, Jeremy Popelka. We teach classes here. And then we have a small gallery in the front, and we have a couple of great assistants. Chelsea Littman and Sam Spohn are with us right now. And so let's see. Let's go to the next image. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm having just a hard time with play slideshow. Okay, here we go. Okay, help, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time getting going on this. Well, I think maybe I'll just do it this way. I'll just do it manually. And I'll change it to full screen. Okay, so here's Jeremy and myself when we got married in 1987. I was a painter at the time, an art student. And Jeremy was a glass major. And then, what's that? What's that? Oh, God. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay. All right, I guess everything's fine. I'm sorry. I'm having a really hard time, Sam, with my Zoom. Did I leave the Zoom? Okay. So I started making glass in 2000 or 1999. I started doing fruit pieces, and sculpting fruit came kind of naturally to me because I had been a textile designer. and I just transitioned into encasing these pieces. This is a piece that I made when I first discovered the Paradise paint, which kind of revolutionized my work. I was able to start doing portraiture and imagery and painting, which was my forte. This is kind of an image that shows you my casting process. This is a portrait floating in glass. I'm going to move on. This is a piece that I did for a show at Yerkes that I had 2 summers ago. And this is a portrait of Nancy Roman. Nancy Roman is known as the mother of the Hubble telescope, and she had been doing her graduate work at University of Chicago at Yerkes in Yerkes Observatory in Lake Geneva. And she was not offered tenure, and so she opted to leave in the early 60s, and she went to Texas to work with NASA, and eventually came up with the main work of the Hubble telescope. Her concept was observation and looking and really understanding the stars. And so I did this portrait of her for an event at Yerkes. And during that event, I got to meet Hillary Clinton, and that was super cool. That was really fun. And so Diane Coleman, I see you're here, and that piece is there. It was purchased by a group, I think the Lincoln Foundation, I think that's what's called, Anne Drake's foundation, and they donated it back to Yerkes. So Nancy Roman is there, represented by a sculpture of her, which is very exciting. This is, let's see, how can I go to the next one? Okay. Somehow I'm having a hard time with my computer going to the next image. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with my computer. Okay, sorry, I think I have to reopen this. It's stuck. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm having a hard time right now with my computer. If you have any questions now, would be a good time to ask, and I can see what's going on with this. I'm just going to quit this and start it again. And I'm going to get my assistant to come in here and help me a second. Hey, Sam, could you hold me for a second? Sam? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, you're back. You
Yes,
made something that's already been made and something else. You've made something in glass and then you encase it in more glass. So how is the glass that you already made not affected? How did she stay so perfect?
Well, it just kind of fuses to it. And actually, I do have a okay, now I'm going to try to share my screen again. Okay, I do have a little film here, and hopefully this will work. And then you can see what happens when Is everyone able to see this? I hope so.
Yeah,
So
we can see it.
Does that help? You can kind of see the pouring over it.
But why doesn't she melt? Why doesn't
I mean, she does melt in the sense that she fuses to the piece. But if I were to move it around or move her around before I pour over, then she would morph and appendages might move a little bit. But when I just pour straight over it and leave her lying flat, she stays solid. So this is another new piece. If you could just be near. Thank you. This is another new piece that I just assembled about the artist Pippa Bacca, and she is a conceptual artist from Italy, and she decided in 2006 to travel to areas where there had been genocide and war and spread peace by traveling there in a wedding dress, hitchhiking to each spot, and in the course of doing this, she was murdered and killed. And so it's extremely horrible thing that happened, but she really died for her art. And I wanted to make this tribute to her. So this piece, you know, and it's a new assemblage. It's a piece about Pippa Bacca. So as Demetra had mentioned, I do a lot of work about women from art history. This is also a new piece. This is particularly about Dorothea Tanning, and she was a surrealist painter from the 1940s. So she, 40s and 50s, 60s, she was married to Max Ernst. And so I've taken some of her ideas. I've also added a lemur because she has a very famous painting of called The Birthday that has a lemur in it. And lemurs were the symbol of surrealism because they are nocturnal. And so surrealism is tied in with the dreams. So in this piece, I have created a portrait of her, which is based on a very famous portrait of her, where she's standing in that kind of bold position with her arms on her hands on her hips and her legs spread apart and a big smile on her face. And which is kind of a iconic image of her. And then other images are from her surrealistic paintings. And the two below are from my own version of surrealism, where I've amorphized a chair and a purse. I like the idea of kind of half human, half object, half human, half animal. So that has been a direction I've been working on for a while. This is the back of that piece, and it's got a big eye because surrealism is really all about, you know, looking inward, seeing the subconscious. And so I kind of played with that idea with the eye. This is another piece that is at Habitat right now, and this one is a selfie. So it's based on me. It's not actually the portrait of me with this one. It's more about an ancient version of me as a collector of objects and art history. This is from a series I did called a selfie series about how we present ourselves. You know, we present ourselves on social media. We present ourselves in our artwork through the metaphor of objects, the sensual nature of fruit and floral, the personal history of our home and our personal life. This is a piece I did that I've done. It's now, I think, I'm not sure where this is going, but this is brand new. This is a piece called Frida and Diego Collage. I went to Mexico City last year in February, went to go visit Frida's house, Casa Azul, and was really struck by just the sensual nature of the artwork, the provocative nature of the surrealistic imagery. Pretty much all of Mexico City, the art I saw was very evocative for me, and it led to a whole series of more colorful work, and this is part of that.
If I could interject for just a minute, Stephanie, because I remember when I first saw your work and a number of years ago, and it was quite small in scale. And then I was so pleasantly taken with the more recent pieces that I saw that were really quite large. Is it possible to give us a sense of the scale of this work, for example? And I don't know if you're able to get also the photo in its full size on the screen, or if you have to keep it this way due to the computer issues.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Let me see if I can try full screen. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so thank you for saying that, Demetra. Yeah, I have definitely been working larger. This piece is, I think, 24 inches tall by 19 inches wide. So it's a rather large assembled piece. Each piece is stacked, so they're fitted together, but you know, it's easy for shipping, which is really nice, and also for moving around because they're all individual pieces. They can be reconfigured, but they really fit nicely this way. This is another new piece. This one is 27 inches tall. This one is about Lenora Carrington. And Lenora Carrington is another surrealist, just coincidentally also associated with Max Ernst. I think he was quite the Lothario of the mid-century. But anyway, she is also incredibly beautiful. And I was thinking about how women artists, you know, how beauty is of the artists themselves becomes kind of a filter from which we look at the work. And what does that mean? And so I more just asking that question with this piece and kind of looking at that idea. So I've got her self-portrait in the bottom in the chair she was seated in. So this is also a brand new piece, just shipped out to a gallery in Vail yesterday. So I've been kind of known for doing these coated women on the precipice, and these have really been a fun series of doing really tall women and just having them barely fit into the mold. These are 22 inches tall by 5 inches wide, and they kind of go together in nice little teams. This is what the back of them look like. I really like this kind of colorful play of abstract, sweeping, kaleidoscope kind of imagery. I'm a big fan of Sonia Delaunay, and I think she's been an influence to me. If you're not familiar with her, she's a painter. It's a Russian woman who lived in Paris in the 20s, and she also worked with her husband. Something that fascinates me is when you have couples working together, like Frida and Diego, although they didn't really, I don't think they worked as closely as Jeremy and I do. They worked more side by side, but Jeremy and I definitely worked together on a lot of my work. He actually initially was helping me sculpt these, and now I sculpt these on my own, which is very liberating. Here's another piece, recent piece about women artists. These are, so this is about 22 inches tall by 18 wide. And this is portraits of Alice Neal on the left. In the middle is Florine Sedemeyer, and on the right is Elaine de Kooning. So they all coincidentally had seated self-portraits that they had done. So I was able to recreate those. Those are just little paintings that I've done on glass tiles, and where the figures are fully sculpted and painted. And then I don't always do women. I did do this, a piece about men. This is called The Commuter. And this is a piece referencing my own father, who I grew up in a Chicago suburb, and he commuted into the city on the train every day, wearing a hat like that and a suit. So kind of the nostalgic piece. I think I did actually make this right around the time my father had passed away a couple years ago. So this is a piece I made called Red Riding Hood, and this is 16 inches tall. This was right around the time my daughter went off to college. So I look back and I see what was going on in my life, and I don't always know it at the time when I'm making the piece, what I'm referencing. It's sort of like writing. I'm also a poet, and you kind of just put the work out there, and then later you look back and you realize, oh, that was what was really on my mind. Kind of an interesting part of being an artist. You have this access into your own psyche through the manifestation of what you make. This is another piece. This is a very old piece. I think it's from 2008. It's called Wedding Vortex, and it's specifically about marriage and how people have to twist and conform in order to be in the partnership. And I've got the man definitely conforming a little bit more than the woman, but so who knows what was going on in 2008-9, but that's what that piece is about. I also included this piece because I have an image of the back of it, which I think is quite nice. This piece is 48 inches tall this piece was specifically about anima and animus, and I did two versions of it where gender, this was, back, I think this is 2011, back when I was thinking about gender fluidity and how, women have the male within themselves and men have the women within themselves. And now I probably don't even need to explain it. People will understand it because the language and the vernacular has become more common. We're more woke as a society in general, I hope. But this kind of shows you some of the sculpting process. There was a horse, and Jeremy sculpted this one. I thought it was especially beautiful, so I decided to include it in this presentation. And then this horse went into this piece. This was a piece I made about a friend of mine who had twins, and about the journey of how life can take you into different places. Now looking back, this is an older piece as well. I think this is from 2010 or 11. And I can see the poetry of the pieces so much more than I saw at the time. It's interesting. It's an interesting process to look back at your work. I just included this one because this is a piece based on an Edward Hopper painting called The Morning. I think it's called The Morning or The Sunshine or Sunrise. I'll have to look it up again. I'm sorry. But just 2 nights ago, there was a special on PBS about Edward Hopper and his wife and their partnership. And that also intrigued me. And I think I might go back and make another piece about her because I didn't have that much information about her, but the documentary on PBS really kind of made me curious about their experience. And she was also an artist too. So I thought that was just kind of a lovely piece. I'm sorry the photo's kind of fuzzy and old.
If I could interject for just a minute,
Yeah.
Stephanie, because you mentioned the documentary and how you source different information. How do you start your research, or is there a process where you are drawing from personal experiences versus research that you do? Can you explain a little bit how that process works?
Sure, definitely. I'm happy to. I'm basically a very curious person. I'm always reading. I'm always listening to podcasts, and I'm just very aware of information, and I'm curious, and so I just kind of take an interest. And I mean, that's kind of like I have to make a piece. I have a show coming up, and then I'm like just kind of look around. What am I interested in right now? I don't find it difficult to find subject matter. I'm very interested in, I'm very interested in all kinds of things. I do read the New York Times every week, and that in the book review section, and then there's always something in there that I'm fascinated with. I am curious about biographies. I like reading people's Wikipedia pages, and then I go down a wormhole, and there's always imagery. I mean, the internet is so helpful with all of that, but also old books. So yeah, I don't really have any problem finding subject matter. And then I also have the technical, my process is so open to different things, and I can, if I see something like, oh, a bird, a chair, a book, I've done all kinds of different things, and then I get excited about being able to sculpt something different. So yeah, I hope I know that's kind of a vague answer, but yeah, there's not really a specific way to do it. If I was to give advice to any other artists or new artists, I would say just really follow your own interest and curiosity. Don't try to make something clever. Don't try to make something smart. Just really go with what you're genuinely interested in, because then it will translate as interesting to other people. I mean, I know I spend a lot of time when I talk about my work, I spend a lot of time talking about what the story behind the piece is, because that to me is fascinating. And so, but I'm also happy to talk about technically the work. But basically a writer or poet, I am, and I also am at heart with my work. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
So this piece in particular is about Virginia Woolf and Vanessa Bell, her sister. I've made maybe 3 or 4 pieces about their relationship, or what I imagine their relationship to be, based on the material culture that I can see from old photographs of them, or kind of some different anecdotal information that I've read. But, I imagine that they may have been a little jealous of each other. Virginia Woolf was so famous, and she goes down in history. And her sister was also ambitious and an artist, but she had a house full of people, family, different lovers and their kids. She had just all this going on. And so maybe Virginia was potentially envious of that household. But anyway, I am interested in Vanessa Bell as a painter as well. And so, and the whole Bloomsbury movement is fascinating for me, and it's perfect for my color sense and my imagery. So this is a piece that Jeremy and I worked on together. I will show you some of Jeremy's sculpture a little later in this, but you can see that the edging of this piece, he helped me push into the sand and do a relief, which I absolutely love. This piece is actually called Mrs. Dalloway, based on a character from a Virginia Woolf book. So this one is a piece that's kind of close to my heart because Jeremy worked on it with me, and I love collaborating. Here's another piece that I've done. I'm kind of interested in the sculptural, basically my work is thick 2D work essentially in the end, because it's flat on the surface. So it's almost closer to painting in a way. And it's also close to puppetry, where I have these figures that they move when you move around it, because it is 3D encased in glass. So they can almost appear to be breathing or alive in a sense. So, but I've also been thinking about my work sculpturally as well. And so this is the back of this piece, and we can, oh, I didn't have the third. Yeah, this is the third way. So you can put it together in various assemblages. It's sort of a kinetic piece in that sense. So there's different things that can be happening behind and in front of the piece. So I've been expanding a little bit with my work in that sense. I've also been painting on blown pieces with low fire enamel. And that's been a really, so this will be a piece that Jeremy or Chelsea will blow, and then I paint on it with the enamels. This one I use the staccato technique of scraping out paint to get some line drawing. And then I also use the enamels, the high fire enamels, to paint, and then we overlay with glass. This is, I think, a 10-inch tall vessel from probably 2005. Oh, there's me. So we had Jaime Guerrero come, and he helped me learn how to, oh, here's Beth Littman here sculpting with us. Our studio is frequently open to other artists to come and work. We get a lot out of the experience of other artists working with us. This is a sculpture I've done with a figure encased. This was for a show I did focused on Emily Dickinson poems, and I have her poem, Wild Night, engraved in her handwriting around the surface of the lamp, part of this lamp. So when Jaime Guerrero was here, this is a piece that I was beginning to talk about. So I started sculpting blown work. So I'm not really a glass blower, but I can work with in the blowing process. And so this is a piece that I made in 2 parts. I sculpted the head, and then later the bust with Jaime's help, along with Chelsea and Jeremy. And then I painted it with a low fire enamel. So you can kind of see the brush strokes on there. It's an interesting, different kind of process. Sorry. And then we assembled it hot, which was kind of exciting. And that was a film I was trying to get onto this Zoom, but it's on our Facebook page. If you want to look at it, I can repost it so that it's at the top of our Facebook page. Oh, and now this is not doing this again. Let's see. Okay, here's another one that I did. Oh, this piece is at the Museum of Wisconsin Art. We had a collector, benefactor, James Hyde, and he really championed and was an advocate of both my work and Jeremy's work. And this was one of the last pieces that he purchased for the Museum of Wisconsin Art in West Bend. Anyway, so I'm proud to have it there. This is a piece that's, I think this is at Torrey Follier Gallery. This is another assembled blown piece. We made those individual balls and then added those on as we were fusing the two parts together. It's a very exciting process. Let's see, I have one more. This one was just purchased by the Warehouse Museum in Milwaukee. So this is a new piece that they have. I've also been doing some kind of playing around with more 2D work of doing fusing of sprits and powders onto, and then pouring over it. So making these panels that become more like paintings that I can show. That's something I'm working on. I use that same technique to make these butterfly wings. This is at the Green Bay Botanical Garden. It's an installation as a memorial. I'm also a painter, so I'm going to show you a couple of my paintings quickly. These are oil paintings. This is a 4-foot by 3-foot painting. They have a feeling of glass to them, and these all look a little bit yellower in this imagery than they should be. But I start out putting this color patterning into the background and then into the painting on canvas first, and then I weave a narrative landscape over that. And this is another recent one. This is one that's at Froedtert Hospital. It's also, I toggle back and forth between representational and abstract. So you can see I'm busy. I'm making the glass during the day. Oh, I added this at the last minute. This is a piece based on a catalog. So Dimitri, you were asking about where I get my inspiration. Well, I was looking at an old image and I saw this old catalog from the 19th century, and I thought, oh, that would be really cool to recreate it in glass. So I sculpted all those chairs and painted them, and so I kind of take my imagery from, or my inspiration from, all huge assortment of places. This is a sample of Jeremy's work. He does the Marini Venetian blown work, and he's really become a master at that. It's really quite beautiful. That is one of the things that helps support our studio, along with my work. We kind of, we work in our studio every day, so we have quite a lot of work built up. He's also a wonderful sculptor, and you can look at all his work on our website, opelkaglass.com, or you can, I think he will be doing one of these Zoom presentations coming up, specifically about our experience in Thailand. So I'm just going to briefly tell you, in 2016, we got an email in our junk mail inviting us to come to Thailand and start a glass academy. So that was very cool. So we, at first we didn't think it was real, and then we looked up the name and we followed the track of the website and the contact, and eventually we determined it was truly legitimate. It's a corporation, Bangkok Glass. They do all bottling for Singha beer. They're a huge corporation, and they decided they wanted to have a hot glass studio in the middle of their factory. And so they reached out to us. They may have reached out to other people. They may have gone in other people's junk mail, or we never know how they chose us, but they did choose us. And we then commissioned John Childs at Hub Glass to make the furnace, glory hole, kiln, pipe warmer, a couple other things. They made their own benches, which they painted bright blue, and which was kind of cool. So we had to get rid of that paint right away. But anyway, it was really fun. And the students that we had were all very sophisticated art students, either BFA or MFA students. The programming in Thailand is extremely sophisticated, the art school. was founded by someone who studied in Rome, an Italian man, and so Silkborn, that was his name, and he started the university in the 40s. So the students were super accomplished, but having had no experience with glass. And so we were there for 2 months. We've been back as many times, and actually Jeremy is there right now. He's actually in Cambodia today, but heading to Bangkok on Monday to start a 3-week Marini and Kane special class with the team. So so that kind of winds up my presentation of my images, and I appreciate everyone's patience. I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning. So anyway, so I would love
Thank
to,
you.
yeah.
We do have a couple questions. It was really fascinating to see the range of your work and to hear about the thought process behind it. Someone mentioned that while your work is obviously compelling from the front with regard to the narratives, the abstracts on the back are really quite fantastic as well. And they were wondering, do you paint that separately? Is it preconceived? How does that all come together?
So when I make my mold, I make my impression in the sand with a wood mold, and then I put my frit and powder, I lay it into the mold. I use stencils. So no, it's very planned. So I just have stencils that I've created. I have ingeniously figured out a little way of folded tape so I can lift them out with the tweezers. And I sprinkle the frit in there. And then when I do the first pouring of glass, it just fuses. So it's not painted, it's all glass. And it's always worked out. And I've saved all my stencils. They're all cataloged because, you know, if anything happens to any piece, I have the backup section to remake. Thank
That's
you.
great.
That's a good question.
We also had someone that was curious about classes. They're curious, they like to learn from you and wonder how do they go
Yeah.
about doing
I have taught at Corning a couple times, like a week-long class. And I think I'm planning to do that again, although I don't have a date set. We do teach blowing classes out of our own studio, just kind of like try it kind of weekend glass blowing workshops. That's taught by Jeremy. So, but I will be teaching more casting classes. I think we'll just announce it on our website or on Facebook. So if you just follow us, you can follow me on Instagram too.
it? Okay.
I actually have a post on Instagram, I want to brag now, that has 3.5 million views. So
Wow.
want to check it out on my Instagram. You can see it. You can add to the total.
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Renee
Oh,
here.
hi, Renee. Oh my God. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It was such fun. Then this is a crazy question for you. As many times as I've been in your studio, and of course, looking at your pieces again today that you were showing us, and of course, some of them I have seen. How do you let them all go? I'm sorry. You know, they really are fantastic, Stephanie. You know, I love your stuff, and you know how many pieces I have of yours, but I don't know when you do those great big pieces like your Diego and Frida and all of those. What do you have in your house? What do Jackson and Maddie have? You know, do they
Not
keep?
much, not much.
No.
People ask me that sometimes, and my favorite piece is whatever I'm currently working on. I really am in love with the process and the whole like depth of and the exploration. So once they're finished, it's easy for me to say goodbye because that means I can keep working on another one. But you do have some very special pieces. You come and get the oddball pieces, the ones that I thought no one's gonna love or know about. And so thanks, Renee, for being here.
Oh, I love it. And I had seen on your Facebook some of the newer ones that you did, but it's wonderful. Thank heavens that you are willing to let them go because I don't know if I could do that if they were my pieces.
Well, if you had enough of them, I mean, we have like 3 buildings downtown.
Right.
I have a lot of stuff. So my poor daughter, we were driving her to the airport over after a Christmas break, and she said, well, yeah, I do want to get a couple pieces, Mom, but so I got to figure out what to do. I don't know. That's a whole nother ball of wax, but I think I still have some time.
Good.
We
But
also have
oh, yeah.
We have a question from Beth Lickman,
Oh,
who is wondering if you can speak about the relationship between poetry, painting, and sculpture.
Beth, I love you. I can't believe it. Thank you for coming. Beth is one of my dearest, sweetest friends. I love her so much. And I think she already knows the answer to this question, but so she's giving me a prompt to say something beautiful. But I think, basically you put the idea, you manifest the idea, you just start working, you just start making things, and then your ideas kind of float to the surface, kind of what I said before. And it works that way with poetry as well. I am a published poet. You can find me around, but I don't really emphasize it a lot. It's a very separate part to me it's just a very different kind of process. But in a sense, it's similar because you just get the material out there and then you sculpt it and you craft it, which is the editing in poetry. And in glass, it's the choosing and the curating of which pieces are going to go together. But I think the key is just to be creating and be putting a lot of work out there. And then from that, you can kind of cull a message. And then from that, you get a deeper understanding of what your message is, what's important to you, what the work's about. So I don't have a lot of, like when I'm in my painting studio, I try to distract my brain with maybe an audio book or a podcast and let my intuitive sense do the work. And I do that with my glass as well. So I feel like if I have too much of a strong idea, the work's never going to be better than that idea. I need to let that magic happen between the process and my body, essentially. So there's a somatic aspect to making the work that releases it conceptually into something deeper and more significant than the concept. Does that help?
It does.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Beth, for asking that question. Again, I want to mention that if you are not a member of AACG and are on the program today, to please visit our website at aacgglass.org. We have programs like this exclusively for members every Friday. So you can sign up to be a member and participate and get to meet a lot of amazing artists like Stephanie. And I'm going to stop the recording now so that you can go ahead and unmute yourself and talk to Stephanie directly if you have any more questions or just want to thank you. And from us to you, Stephanie, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your incredible work with us.
Thank you. Thank you. And I see my mom is here. Hi, Mom.